Remember, you're not being difficult by following up. You're being diligent. Your child's education success depends on proper implementation of their IEP. I'm Jenny Sherson, ex-special educator turned dyslexia interventionist. It wasn't so long ago that I, too, was overwhelmed by balanced literacy versus structured literacy, education speak, and everything in between. Fast forward after many, many hours of self-driven education, and you'll see I've built a thriving dyslexia practice helping students from age 6 to 18. My specialties? Working with the quote-unquote difficult, almost always 2E, student, and breaking down the complexities of dyslexia into everyday language strategies and action steps. The IEP meeting is over, and I've got this huge document full of services and accommodations. How do I actually make sure it all happens? Before we dive into today's topic, if you haven't listened to our last episode about preparing for IEP season, I highly recommend you go back and check it out. These two episodes work hand in hand, first preparing for the meeting, and now making sure everything gets implemented properly. As always, you'll find resources mentioned in this episode on our website. You've made it through the IEP meeting. Congratulations! But now comes the crucial part that many parents don't realize is just as important as the meeting itself. Making sure everything in that IEP actually happens. Today, I'm going to give you a concrete action plan for the first 30 days after your IEP meeting to ensure that you have effective implementation of the document. Let's break this down into manageable chunks, starting with what you need to do in the first 48 hours after your meeting. In the first 48 hours, the most important thing to do right after your meeting is to document everything while it's fresh in your mind. Even if you took notes during the meeting, sit down and write out a detailed summary. Include any verbal agreements or clarifications made during the meeting. Were there any, quote, "we'll look into that," or, quote, "we'll follow up on this" kind of statements? Write them all down. Next, send a follow-up email to your case manager. Keep it positive and collaborative, but make sure to document key points. Here's an example. Dear case manager, thank you for facilitating yesterday's IEP meeting for blah, blah, blah child. I appreciate everyone's time and input. I want to confirm my understanding of the key points we discussed. 1, reading services will increase to 4 times a week for 45 minutes. 2, Ms. Smith will begin providing written copies of class notes starting next Monday. 3, we'll reconvene in 6 weeks to review progress on the new reading program. Please let me know if I've missed anything or if any of these details need clarification. This email example serves 2 purposes. It creates a paper trail and helps prevent any misunderstandings before they start. The first week. When you receive the draft IEP, this is your crucial review period. Don't feel pressured to sign it immediately. Take time to review everything carefully. And here's what to look for. 1, services. Check that all agreed upon services are listed with correct frequencies, durations, and start dates. 2, accommodations. Ensure all accommodations are clearly described and applicable in all appropriate settings. 3, goals. Verify that goals are written exactly as discussed and include clear measurement criteria. 4, present levels. Confirm that present levels accurately reflect your child's current performance and include parent input. If you find any discrepancies in the IEP, even small ones, address them immediately. Send an email detailing the corrections needed. Be specific. For example, on page 4 under accommodations, we discussed extended time for all tests, but the IEP currently only lists math tests. All right, moving on to the first 30 days. This is when you want to set up your monitoring systems. Create a simple track sheet for services and accommodations. Note when services start, who's providing them, and how they're being implemented. Set up a communication system with each service provider. Some might prefer email, others might use a communication log. Here are some of the things that you might track in your tracking sheet. 1, service. You might put reading intervention. 2, provider, Miss Johnson. 3, schedule. Do they meet Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and at what time? 4, the week of, and enter the date. Were all sessions completed or something missed? 5, notes. You might put missed Thursday due to assembly was made up on Friday. Now let's move on to common implementation challenges. Let's talk about some common hurdles you might face and how to handle them. 1, services don't start on time. If services haven't started within the first week, send a polite email to the case manager. For example, I've noticed reading services haven't begun yet. Could you let me know when these will start and if there's anything I can do to help facilitate this? 2, staff changes. Sometimes staff changes happen. If a new service provider starts, request a brief meeting to ensure they understand your child's needs and accommodations. 3, resistance to accommodations. If you encounter resistance, first try speaking directly with the teacher. Often a quick conversation can resolve misunderstandings. If the issue persists, document the instances and contact your case manager. 4, communication breakdowns. Establish clear communication channels early. Consider a weekly check-in email or progress update system that works for everyone involved. Next, we're going to talk about building long-term accountability. Success with IEP implementation often comes down to having good systems in place. So consider the following: setting up regular progress check-ins, creating a shared Google Doc for tracking implementation, establishing clear communication protocols with the team, and keeping a running record of successes and challenges. Remember, you're not being difficult by following up. You're being diligent. Your child's education success depends on proper implementation of their IEP. If you have any further questions about IEP implementation, please feel free to sneak into my inbox. I'd also love your input. What would you like to hear from me in the future? Is there a topic we haven't covered yet that you really want to learn more about? Send me a DM on Instagram or drop me an email at jenny@literacyuntangled.com. That's JENNIE @literacyuntangled.com. I can't wait to hear from you. Until next time, bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Literacy Untangled. If you loved this episode as much as I did, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you want to continue the conversation or share your takeaways, head on over to our Instagram @Literacy Untangled and comment on your favorite part. I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Bye.